Hello everyone, this is Endgame Arts with another unboxing of the offline product game review. This is Tunic for the PlayStation 4, but being played and tested on my PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy here comes with the update version 1.01 already on the disc, but sadly there was an update available. This update size was 756 megabytes and will take you to version 1.02 since the time of making this video. Now like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account, and I didn't experience any massive game-breaking bugs or issues. As well, I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now, to jump right into it, this is the first time I've ever done anything with Tunic and had very little information about the overall experience of the game. And overall, I really enjoyed what this game was offering as its experience. It's heavily inspired by two particular games, and that is Legend of Zelda and a slight touch of like Dark Souls kind of style, where the game has a very Legend of Zelda, classic Legend of Zelda. I'm being very clear about that. Like the first NES, or maybe Link, more specifically I would say Link to the Past. And the gameplay was a little bit like Dark Souls, where the combat's a little bit like block, attack, block, dodge, and then if you die, you leave a portion of your soul away. You don't have like souls or anything like that, but you do leave behind like money, and then if you pick up where your last time you placed you died, an explosion happens, you can do some damage around enemies that are near your place, your ashes, if you will, where you last time you died. So it has some elements of both of them. But the biggest thing that really took my attention was the kind of the lack of info, as well as what I would call the Nintendo 64 Ocarina of Time strategy guide. I remember I have a friend who had Ocarina of Time, and he had the strategy guide. I remember me and him playing together on Ocarina of Time, working together and using the strategy guide. And they had all these neat little art pictures and stuff like that, little informations. And even my friend drew in his strategy guide, like the Song of Storm and stuff like that, and a Song of Time and stuff, all that little stuff. So there's a little book in this game that you go through in-game on Tunic, and it kind of gives you information as you slowly progress through the game. You find pages and pieces of it, and it's done very well. At first, I was very skeptical of the lack of info of the game, because I've always talked about this, where I do not like it when games withhold information from the player, but I did like the stylization they were going with this game, where the information is done through a book, a manual, if you will, or strategy guide. I can see why some people, maybe nowadays gamers, who have no idea about strategy guides, back in the day physical copies of strategy guide or manuals and books, being very confused about what is this thing in anything in a game. But I remember back in the day of those kinds of times, grabbing a manual from a physical copy and going through it and looking at all the information and stuff, and they did it extremely well in this game, and I find it one of the most charming pieces of the game. The gameplay is smooth, it's solid, it's rewarding, it's challenging. The graphics are simply gorgeous. This is one of the best looking games I have seen in a very long time. The music can be hit and miss. Sometimes it's very soothing, sometimes it feels like you don't even really notice it there. So it's a little there on my part. The music's probably the weakest part of the game, but overall the rest of the game is phenomenal. The only, say, experience flaws I felt in the game, I did find some minor slight stuttering in the game, and this was very random at moments. I can't really tell what was causing it, like if it was loading up a level or too many enemies. Not really sure, but there was a slight stutter at certain intervals. Didn't happen all the time, but it's notable. Another thing that probably could be maybe annoyance to a lot of people. Me, it doesn't really bug me because I don't mind fixed cameras, but the game has a fixed camera, and you cannot control the camera at all. And the game plays with this, where there's a lot of hidden paths, a lot of hidden nooks and everything like that, and a lot of hidden areas that you can traverse and climb and do, and passages and stuff like that you gotta find. So the best advice I can say is to make sure you check your game's manual, which I'll call the strategy guide in the game, oftenly. You could find information that you wouldn't believe it's in that manual, as well as that check every nook and cranny, and also do a little bit of experimentation, like certain walls or something like that might be able to be blown up with a firecracker or something like that. I do admit some of them could have had little cracks on the wall to make it a little bit more clear that you could throw your firecracker to blow it up, but overall, I really love the design and aspects of the game. The overall experience was quickly shot up to one of my top 10 most favorite games I've played all the time. Now, I want to be very clear about this. It was in my top 10. Though, I want to be clear on that I enjoyed this game through and through from beginning and near the end. Near the ending of the game is where the game basically falls flat. It's very disappointing what happens near the end. But before I go into that, why is that and what's going on with this game? Is that, again, I don't mind that lack of info. I love the strategy guide. I love the combat. The game wasn't as hard as a lot of people told me it was. I mean, I've played Souls games, so I'm used to the combat of that, like dodge, block, and parry and stuff like that, so I'm used to that. Now, there are certain moments in the game where you use a directional D-pad to solve puzzles. And while this is really cool and cute at certain moments in the game, and I thought that was really clever at the time, apparently at one moment the developer thought this was the greatest invention that you could ever think of. And why I say that is that near the ending, there's like 20 fairies, and then there's 12 lost relics, and every single one of these require a D-pad combination to input. And I talked about this again. I'm not a big fan of fourth wall breaking, and it's kind of hard to explain because I don't want to spoil anything. But looking for the 20 fairies and looking for the 12 lost relics is irrelevant to the game. There's no reward to doing that, other than if you maybe want to get the platinum, get all the trophies in the game. But it just was some of the most annoying aspects of the game, was looking for all these little fairies and lost relics, and to be found out that it's a fourth wall breaking kind of thing that has no relevance to the game and there's no reward to it. Very disappointed on that. But also there is a secret mountain door. And while I enjoy the idea of how to solve this mystery of this door, and I was in the process of solving it, but eventually I got to the point where I just wasn't having fun trying to solve the mystery of this door. And I eventually went online and tried to figure it out. And though I was close to figuring it all out, I looked at the thing, and you would not believe that you need to push in it's like 100 D-pad button directions to try to get the true ending in this game. And I don't know, to me it broke the flow of the game. Everything was meshing really well. Everything was connecting. The progression of the system of the game was really rewarding at time. But right at that end point of the game where you get to that mountain, get to the 20 fairies or get to the 12 lost relics, which again, those 20 fairies and the 12 lost relics are relevant. I do not recommend you doing that unless you want to get a platinum of the game. Don't do it. It'll ruin your experience. It's not worth your time. But the 100 button direction to get the true ending, I don't know how I feel about that. That just felt more like gatekeeping or borderline trolling, because in my personal opinion, the true ending wasn't very good. I preferably like the bad ending more than the true ending. And then get that 20 lost fairies as well as the 12 relics. At the ending, I almost felt like I was being trolled. Like the developer was just trolling its community with the 100 D-pad directions that you had to figure out, and then the 20 fairies and the 12 lost relics. In my opinion, it falls flat right at the end. I don't know what happened, why the developer chose to pretty much like do a self-sabotage to his game, because everything else didn't really require anything like this. It just, at that last minute, the whole gameplay changed and it involved just trying to figure out this 100 D-pad direction combination thing, and it just, I don't know, it kind of borderline ruined the experience for me. But maybe if I didn't spend all that time trying to get the 20 fairies and the lost relics and then find out that was completely waste of my time that has nothing to do with the actual in-game, the actual game itself, I probably wouldn't have been as upset with the 100 D-pad direction solving thing with the mountain. But even then, I don't know, it just didn't fit right with the rest of the game. But I do want to point out, the game is phenomenal. The rest of the game, 10 out of 10. I'm just saying like a scores of it's a phenomenal. But when you get to that last bit, it just all falls apart, and it's just really disappointing. It's like this game was on the high streak, and then right at the finishing line, it trips and falls and lands on its face, and ruins its perfect streak with me. I still love this game. I'll definitely run through this game all over again multiple times. I just will never probably do the mountain combination or try to go for the Lost Fairies or the Lost Relics or whatever. They're not worth it. It's just not rewarding for your time. And I understand that some people relish in those kind of super complex, super challenging puzzles that nobody else can solve but only you. Kind of like the Elden Ring kind of or Souls-like idea that people love the idea there's a boss that's so tough that they only are able to beat it. I'm not really part of that gatekeeping community. I believe games should be readily available for everyone, and difficulties as well as accessibilities and features and stuff like that. So you don't just do gatekeeping. I'm sorry, I'm not part of gatekeeping gaming. But Tunic was a phenomenal game right up to the end. I highly recommend this game to get on your shelf. I didn't have any real issues. That update wasn't really necessary, but I mean, I know it says it provides Arabic, so if you want to get Arabic language, that's kind of important if you want to be able to understand the game. But in the end, I had a tremendous time. I love this game. I love its graphics. I love its combat. I love its progression. I love the little manual and the strategy guide and utilizing it. I just constantly was at alls. There were moments where I was like, no way, or like, whoa, my mind is blown, and moments like, wow, that's so stylized. But then you right, you get to that mountain point, and right, you try to look for those lost fairies and lost relics, everything falls apart, and then when you find out it's all not worth the effort, it's such a disappointment near the end. So in the end, thank you all so much for watching. I will provide links down in the description. Please keep in mind this physical copy came from Fangamer, which is a boutique store, which I will provide links to Fangamer, which I recommend you go there to pick up your copy while it's still available at their store, because third-party people will try to sell it at a premium or a higher price than what Fangamer will try to sell it you at this time as making a video. So highly recommend you go to Fangamer if you're going to want to pick up your American version. There is a PAL version available, but man, that's in a PAL region, and I don't know what's all on the disc on the PAL version. So at the time, look at Fangamer if you're interested in a physical copy, which I highly recommend. It was a phenomenal game, beginning and near that end point. So in the end, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye bye.